Hello and welcome to my closet. Today in this video, I'm gonna tell you guys the story of my crazy discounted apartment that was haunted. Now, as you guys all know with haunting stuff, there's always people who are gonna be like, oh, it's the wind, it's the AC, or it's people screaming outside. And trust me, I'm the first person to think that type of thing too. And in this story, I'm gonna glaze over all of the minor things that sort of happened, but then I'm really gonna focus on like 4 mini stories that really there was no explanation for why or how these things happened, and I ended up breaking my lease early. Let's jump right into the story. So, during this time period, I was 18 or 19, I'm 24 years old now, so this was quite some time ago. Where I was living at the time, you know, you're either going to be paying a lot of money for a really safe area, maybe a smaller apartment, or you're going to be paying not that much money in a different part of town and it's not very safe, and I wasn't really finding anything that I was really jiving with, you know? And so I ended up finding this cute little apartment complex. It was like right off the highway, kind of tucked away in a neighborhood, and I thought the pictures looked really cute. I was vibing with it. So I ended up going in, talking to this lady. All they had were 2 bedrooms, which are too expensive, a couple 1 bedrooms, which were on the top floor, and I guess they charge more for the top floor, and I really wanted a top floor apartment because I can't be dealing with people stomping all over above me. So I told her that, and I was getting ready to kind of leave, and she goes, well, we do have one that just opened up. They still needed to kind of clean it out, and that it was cheaper than the other 3rd floor apartments because of the view. I'm a clearance rack kind of bitch, you feel me? Like, I knew that my impulsive ass was going to rent this apartment before I even looked at it, because when she told me the price, it was in my price range. It was $200 cheaper, like $150 cheaper than what she was quoting for the other 1 bedrooms on the 3rd floor. I was going to rent it. So we go check it out. The buildings are kind of musty and gross. I didn't care. We got up to the 3rd floor, we went into the apartment, and it was huge. I gotta say, I really did get a good deal on this apartment. But looking out onto the deck, you meander on out there, and all you can see is a cemetery. I didn't care. I really didn't care, and also, I wasn't really expecting to be home that much, so I didn't think it would be a huge deal. And for the price, I didn't care. Signed the papers, moved in, and I remember as I was moving in, at first I was by myself, later I had like a little move-in party with my friends, but as I was moving in, I just remember thinking, wow, this place feels like a blank canvas. It felt so quiet, and that tends to be the kind of ongoing theme of this place, is it was always so quiet during the day. It felt so blank, and not positive, but not negative. It just felt like so quiet, to the point that it felt loud, if that makes any sense. Almost like you could feel like humming around you. I didn't think it was weird. So I had friends over that night. We were up, decorating my apartment, having a general like good time. There was nothing bad happening. They ended up leaving, and I was trying to just lay down and go to sleep, but I didn't have a TV because, as I stated, I was damn poor at this time. So I decided that I wanted to go for a walk. And me being dumb as hell, I was like, oh my god, there's a cemetery across the street. I should go walk in it. That sounds like so much fun. Got dressed, walked outside, walked straight across into the cemetery, which this is kind of creepy, but I did this frequently living there. I don't know why. I didn't feel scared there ever, you know? Except for the first time I ever went there, which I'm about to tell you. I'm walking through the cemetery, and I remember kind of just standing there and dazing off a little bit and just feeling that same feeling where it was so quiet I couldn't shake it even on this walk, and I felt overwhelmed by silence. Soon I started hearing like really loud wind chimes, which I'm just gonna tell you now, I really like wind chimes and people whistling disturb me. Not scare me, they annoy me. And so it got louder and louder, and I couldn't figure out where the wind chimes were coming from. So I decided to just haul across the street, which across the street is a church. I noticed there was a big Mother Mary statue, and I just wanted to go check it out. It was illuminated and it looked really interesting, and I was just drawn to it. In front of the Mother Mary, there were all these little statues of like disciples, I'm guessing, or something. I'm not super well versed in religion, sorry about that. But I walked past her and was going to take a shortcut around the church to go back to my apartment. So when I passed her, on the other side of the statue, there were like weird skeletons just like sprawled out with their arms like outstretched. And I was like, this is really weird. Like, why would a church put this as decoration? And come to find out, when I went back a couple days later, those statues weren't there. It wasn't any time around Halloween. I don't know why I saw those statues. I don't know if they were a prank. I don't know if they were in my head. I really seriously don't know. But anyway, to continue the story, I ended up taking that shortcut behind the church, went back to my apartment, went upstairs. I had nothing to do because I was broke, had no internet, had no TV, and so I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go to bed. So I lay in bed, and I have to get up, go use the restroom. I got up, I went to go grab the doorknob, and it was in my hand, and the door just like sucked out of my hand. The first time it happened, I was like, oh my god, like the AC, because the AC was at the end of this hallway, so I don't know, I just thought that maybe it would kind of suck the door shut. So I opened the door and opened it almost as hard as I could, just because I was like, no, and the door slammed shut. And at that point, I still told myself it was the AC, even though it was obviously not the AC. I thought maybe someone had broke into my apartment and was trying to rob me, and I was like, you know what, you do you rob me blind. So I laid in bed, couldn't sleep, woke up the next day. I never ever had that happen to my door ever again. It was very scary. Next thing that started happening, I'm just gonna go into the smaller things that started happening, because it did start off so innocent. It basically started off with that weird feeling that I couldn't shake, because I constantly felt that in this apartment. It just felt very quiet. Like when you wake up from a nap and you feel like super disturbed for some reason, and you're just like, ooh, why is it so quiet? Why do I feel just not right? And then at night, it would feel very heavy. I would do anything to get out of that apartment because I hated it. I thought that buying a TV would help. I saved up and bought a TV. I got internet, just to try to fill that weird quietness that I constantly felt. And I still felt it, but I did feel better because at least I was distracted, you know what I mean? So the smaller things that I started noticing were, on my table, there would constantly be like ceiling dust on it. And again, I don't know if these things were paranormal, but I thought they were strange at bare minimum and weird. Occasionally there would be like drawers open in my closet and I knew that I hadn't opened them. And again, this could have been my crazy ex too, and at the time I genuinely was wondering if that's what it was. So one night, as like I had first moved in, these things were already happening. I was decorating some more, and I ended up hanging one of those picture boards with the ribbons that go down it, and I put a bunch of pictures of my friends, my family, everybody that I love pretty much. And every single night from the time that I hung it till the time that I got rid of it, it would slam on the floor in the middle of the night. And I'm not talking like just fall off the screw. No, it sounded like it was being sucked to the floor, and I would wake up every single night to that and wind chimes. I complained so many times to this apartment complex because I was like, I can't sleep with these wind chimes. Nobody had wind chimes, and I would constantly hear them. It would sound like they were hung in the corner of my room and someone was blowing a hairdryer at them. It was so weird. And so night after night, that picture board kept getting sucked to the ground. And at this point I was like, this is really weird and also really annoying. So I ended up just screwing it to the wall. And this wall was not on the same wall as any doors except for the doors that go out to the deck. And this was happening in the middle of the night, so you know, maybe somebody was slamming their door and making it fall. So I thought, nah, I'm done with this. So I screwed it to the wall, like screwed through the picture board to the wall. The next day, I didn't hear the thud. I was like, wow, thank God. Woke up the next morning and it was just sitting below the screw. Just sitting there with the hole still drilled through it. And that's when things started to get really bad. I started questioning why would that happen? How would that happen? And I just felt disgusted in my stomach. I unblocked my ex and I texted him and I was like, this is not okay. This is like, get out of my apartment. And he was like, I am not in your apartment. So I was weirded out. Very weirded out. And also at this time, I wasn't, you know, that light of a sleeper. Like, everything woke me up. So if he was breaking into my apartment, I would know. The next weird thing that happened was I used to wear a confirmation ring. As I said, I'm not religious, but it was a gift that I got a couple of years prior to that, I think. So I wore it every single day. I would wear this ring every single day. It was pretty well made. It's a Brighton ring. Not that well made, but none of the little diamonds had fallen out of it. It was cute, so I just continued to wear it. One night, I got home really late from work. I just felt not good. I just felt that heavy feeling, and I just wanted to shower, and I just wanted to go the frick to bed. So I'm in the shower, I'm washing my hair, and then randomly that ring, which didn't ever do this, I'd worn it for years, fell off my finger and fell to the bottom of the tub. And I go to grab it and I notice that it's just spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning, like through the water at the bottom of the tub, because that thing was janky and a little bit clogged, and the spurts coming from the shower head. And I remember just looking at it and being like, whoa, like that's kind of weird and cool. And then it just kept spinning, and I was like feeling that bad feeling again. And it literally spun for it felt like years, you guys. And I was like, maybe it's a sign from God, because it was a confirmation ring. And the second that my head, my internal dialogue, thought the word God, the ring just went. Ugh. And I just felt disgusted. Like, I felt like the nastiest person in the world. I felt like I'd been violated, and all over something so small as that happening. So I couldn't explain it. I felt crazy, and at the time you really do feel crazy, but I couldn't explain that. I couldn't explain this ring spinning when I try to spin it after the fact of this happening. I couldn't even get it to spin at all because of the little diamonds on it. It was just very strange. And when I get out of the shower, I pick up my ring, I go to put it back on, and 3 of the diamonds, or little crystals, had fallen out all on the same row. I was so afraid, and at that point I really was just keeping it to myself because I thought that I was genuinely insane. I ended up getting a little bit more money, and I decided that I really wanted a pet. Especially after that happened, I wanted a little friend, somebody to hang out with me, and I did have friends, and I had friends that would come over, but normally I would just want to leave. I ended up getting a kitten. And I still have her. I love her to this very day, but she was the most playful kitten. She was always really happy. One night, she was chilling, hanging out in this bag. I was watching Dr. Phil, and her little legs were hanging out the back of this grocery bag. And I remember specifically before this happened, I was looking at her because I thought it was really cute. And out of nowhere, this paper bag just flies across the floor with her in it, and my first instinct was that maybe she was running, but her whole body was inside the bag. Like, She wasn't running outside the bag pushing it. The bag just shot across the floor, hit all the way to the kitchen, hit a trash can, knocked the trash can over, and after that, my cat was not okay. She was scared all the time. She would never come out. She would always be like hiding in her cat tree, hiding underneath my bed. And after that night, she really was completely horrified. These things start building up. I'm getting more and more stressed. I had that crazy ex-boyfriend that wouldn't like stop calling me, and I started sleepwalking. And I wasn't really a sleepwalker before that too much, a little bit here and there. I started putting stuff in the fridge. I started trying to cook food in my sleep. I started running baths in my sleep. And you know, that's just like normal, funny sleepwalking stuff. I didn't feel scared by it. But one night, this was further into when I was living there. I want to say that like this was towards the middle, but more towards the end of me residing in this apartment. So it was cold out. And I went to bed, just like I always did. And I was having this crazy dream about the apartment complex that I was in. And there were multiple buildings, there's like 6 buildings or something like that. And in between all, like half of them, it divided them, was this like weird creek river thing with a bridge. And I had this dream, this extremely vivid dream, that I was standing on the bridge and there were souls, like dead souls, rushing underneath the waters. And it was so creepy, and I was so scared, and I felt so sick to my stomach. And I started hearing someone screaming, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I slowly started realizing that I wasn't dreaming. I was awake. I was completely awake, and I was standing on that bridge while it was snowing in the very early hours of the morning, like 3 or 4:30 in the morning, and someone was screaming at me from the other side of the bridge in the parking lot, asking me if I was okay, because I was wearing underwear and a little shirt in the snow. I started freaking out. I didn't even say anything to that person, I don't think. I just ran all the way back to my apartment building, ran up to my apartment, tried to open the door, and something was blocking it. And I'm like, what the, like, are you serious right now? Like, I'm about to get the police called on me for being like naked or some shit. So I pushed the door open, and my couch was moved in front of my door to the point where I couldn't even open it like that much without like pushing my couch diagonal. And I walk into my apartment, you guys, and I guess in my sleepwalking, that I had moved I had like redecorated this bitch. Like all the furniture was just moved everywhere, and I was freaking out, and I was like, oh my god. But like, again, this whole time I was trying to be like, it's me, it's the wind, it's this, it's that. But this again was one of those things where I could not figure out why that would happen, or how in the hell I could move the couch like that and get out of the apartment to go be a nudist in my apartment complex. After that happened, it's safe to say that I was completely and utterly terrified. And the little things that started to add up underneath this were still occurring. I was still having drawers opened. I was still having weird things happen, which again, I was kind of chalking up to my boyfriend, but the cat thing that had happened, the sleepwalking thing that had happened, the door slamming shut that had happened, hearing those chimes, just the things I couldn't explain started to slowly add up further and further. And after that sleepwalking incident, I could not explain that. Completely could not explain that. So I started to prepare myself to move, and I didn't want to be there anymore. The sleepwalking made me feel invalidated. It made me feel like somebody was using my body at night, especially after that dream that I had. It just really scarred me. Like, saying all this stuff out loud, it just doesn't really seem that scary, but to me it was really real, and all the things that I couldn't explain really made this story stand out to me in my head. But as I was getting ready to move, I came back to my apartment and my door was just open, and every single drawer, closet drawer, cabinets, everything, my whole apartment was ripped to shreds. At the time, I was so scared. I thought I was going to die. I didn't know the next time I was going to sleepwalk out of my apartment. I would push my couch in front of my door when I went to bed so I wouldn't leave my apartment. And coming home to this was just devastating. My cat had escaped. I was so scared. And then as I was like collecting myself, because I just left. Like, I went to go find my cat. I found my cat, put my cat back in the apartment, and I just left. When I came back, I realized that there were things missing, and realized that my ex-boyfriend had found a way to be breaking into my apartment, and that he had been breaking into my apartment for a little while, which I can make another video about that too, because after this I ended up moving in with the roommate, and that ended up being crazy status too, so I don't know, that's a whole other situation. But yeah, that is a story of my crazy discounted apartment. You know, never know what's really haunting and what's really not, but to me, you guys, maybe you can leave some comments down below to some of the things that I couldn't figure out, why things were happening, or your opinions or thoughts on the situation. I would love to know. I constantly think about that apartment all the time, and all the weird experiences and feelings that I had in that apartment. So let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching, and subscribe. This is my first YouTube video, and I plan on making this a little hobby. Obviously, I'll probably end up having to get an actual camera, but yeah, I have a lot of stories to tell and a lot of things that I can do, and I would love to share them with you guys. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you guys next week.